Hey Josiane, how are you?
Good. How are you, Jenny?
Good, super good. It's funny
Good.
to have a conversation in English with somebody whose name is Josiane.
Yes.
But that's what's
We could
happening.
do it in French,
I
but
thought about
most
it.
people wouldn't.
I thought about it because at the same time there are people who need to hear the things that we need to say that maybe don't, there's such an abundant Anglophone community and like many of the women that
Mm.
I know and have interviewed, you're only the second Canadian that I've interviewed. Everybody lives in the States.
Ah,
So anyway, it's in English this time. Maybe another time we'll switch, but I'm very embarrassed about my French. Your English
that's
is
okay.
English is way
I've been away from Quebec since 1990,
okay.
so I haven't been in a French environment since then, but I speak French whenever I can, like
Yeah, yeah,
as
yeah.
much as possible.
I speak English as much as
But a
possible.
lot of the words, yeah, right.
I live my
It's
day.
okay.
I spend most of my clients are in French, so when I have the opportunity to speak in my mother tongue, it's much easier on my brain. Anyway, thank you. I'm so happy you're here. And I only just realized that you are from Montreal, and that you're living out in Manitoba now. So
Mhm.
this is super exciting. And I can't wait to hear whatever you're going to tell us about this beautiful testimony, this beautiful journey that you've been on over the last years. And I think the thing that makes the most sense, like you were born in Montreal, so do you want to start talking a little bit about your upbringing and then you can take us to what you're doing in Manitoba now?
Yes. Okay. So I was born between two referendums in Montreal to an English mother. She became a believer 2 years prior because of a TV show, a Christmas special from Billy Graham by herself. The Most High came and got her. And so she was harmed by an ex-boyfriend. So harmed. That's how I was happening. And at that time, everybody, the women in Quebec would go to a doctor and have it taken care of because they didn't have access to birth control because of the Catholic Church, but they had all renounced the Catholic Church because of the corruption. So they were having it taken care of elsewhere. But my mom became a believer 2 years before and was like, well, this is what the Most High has been preparing me for. So I'm going to be a mother. So she kept me. So I was like a single child to a single parent. And he provided for us like crazily. And I just found out like 3 weeks ago that right when I was born, and then often after that, she gave me to the Most High, like Hannah does in the Word. This is a woman who didn't have a child for a really, really long time and pleaded and prayed and said, if you give me a child, the child will be yours. And then when the child came, she was so thankful. And then when the child was old enough, she gave the child to the Levites. My mom prayed that over me. And then crazy things started happening. So I didn't realize that's why. So I survived two attempted kidnappings when I was 2 and 3 years old. I had like almost passed away from random things like scarlet fever 3 summers in a row and crazy like asthma. At that time, asthma wasn't really popular. So when your baby stops breathing and her stomach takes over in the middle of the night, you panic. Like that happened to me. And I'm just like a little hi. um, we were part of a small church, which was a missionary church. The pastors were from California, but and his wife, but he had spent years in the northern part of the DRC, which was the Congo at the time, where they speak Swahili. And she had lived there. She was born there to missionaries and was there for her whole life. And so I think the Most High prepared them so that they could come to Quebec and teach people who already knew the Bible, sort of like the Catholic Bible, and had denounced it, like renounced it. So they had to train for a long time. It was amazing. He had the craziest American accent trying to speak French. It was sweet. And She was absolutely lovely. And so Sundays was like Bible study. And this is a place, I don't think Americans will really get it, where it was filled with empty churches. So it was empty, like Catholic cathedral things that people would go to on Easter and Christmas. And that's it.
I mean,
There was like,
if I can take a side note, so I live about let's say if it's mostly Americans watching 40 kilometers north of Montreal.
like
The
an hour or
entire
two.
if we can say the entire province has almost been wrecked by the Catholic Church. I don't know if you're d'accord with me, but it
Oui,
just the
100%.
the abuse that came in and like people who were forced to have family, there was just so much damage that was done from the Catholic Church in the province of Quebec that it is now, even still 2025, basically anti-Christ. What Josiane is talking about of the Americans, there's also a Protestant movement that is growing now from Ontario coming into Quebec and helping to plant churches, Baptist churches. Anyway,
Mhm.
it is like trying to evangelize in the province of Quebec I mean, there are miracles happening and we can get into different, issues with each
Mhm.
kind of denomination, but just for a
But
little.
at least there's something.
Amen,
Like,
right? Like I got baptized
yeah.
in Baptist church and you could just see how everything is new and you can see when the Anglo pastors come and talk, they speak the way that I speak English. So I know anyway, just to say I know the accent that you're talking about and it's
Yeah.
amazing that they're able to even have the opportunity to come into such a place that was, I mean, it's a largely feminist place because it's kind of everybody was so hurt by the church.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They were completely hurt, devastated. Like when my mom was younger, her mom, okay, my grandparents, he was an Irish baby adopted by a French Catholic family. That's history. A whole bunch of Irish people came over because of the famines, imposed famines by the British. Anyways, so he grew up French Catholic, not knowing he was actually Irish, and who knows if he was Catholic or Protestant, no idea. World War II, he goes to the UK. He's a motorcycle messenger, and he goes to London sometimes, and he meets my grandmother, who's Scottish and Protestant, and they fall in love, and they get married over there and have two children. But then he has to come back to Canada. For her to come to Canada and to be accepted to live there, she had to say that she would raise her children Catholic until they were 18 because his family was in good standing in the church. Normally, what was happening was that those marriages were not, what were they called? They weren't even accepted as having happened. It's like they would just be like dissolved. So you might be married somewhere else, but because you married a Protestant, it doesn't count, which is wild. And so she like didn't go to the Catholic church. She stayed at home. And yeah, so my mom grew up in that and it was wild. Like they only had Latin Bibles and stuff. It was crazy. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, they weren't allowed to have French Bibles for a long time. The Catholic like schools, the French schools were Catholic and you'd get like your fingers broken by the yardstick. Just like that was minimal stuff. And there was
Here
way worse.
we were just off camera talking about the
Anyways,
fact
yeah, it was.
that you were able to, did I lose you? We were just saying how you were able to just go over to the dollar store and buy a bunch of Bibles like no big deal. And you're talking about back in
Yes.
that they were in Latin and were, again, just as we can talk about issues with denominations, we can talk about issues with different translations, but we have English and French
Thank
Bibles.
goodness we have something. Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. Actually, yeah, I have your yeah. For the viewers, you are currently on a stack of Bibles in my window. So that you're at the right height. Okay, so that was my upbringing in Quebec. I was born between two referendums, so the whole province was trying to leave, and so the English people were below immigrants, they were below Indigenous or Indians, they were below everybody. So if you could pass for French, it was great. Where I lived and still where I'm from, like we went back for a trip, there's still this sort of like hatred for English people. Like we went to a McDonald's on the South Shore of Montreal, and my children were uncomfortable in the play place. And I was like, I could feel it. There was like this, like, because they're speaking English, and I was like, okay, we'll just
Welcome to
we'll
my
just
life. Welcome to my life. And it's because you left the province that you're able to reflect and see that, right? Like there are
Oh, I
francophones in
saw
my
it when
life.
I was a kid,
Yeah, but because you had
when
an
I was a child.
because you had an English mom, right? Whereas people, when you're in it, you just don't
No,
realize.
no, I spoke French.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, I spoke 100% French. So I would go to the store, I'd speak French, but like the hard thing was the racism, as I had a black friend and my black friend would come. So I was there without her, let's say. I'm at the dépanneur, the corner store, and they're talking to me and they start talking to me about each other, about how much they hate black people. And I was like, oh, this is a weird conversation. My best friend shows up and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And I switched from French with them to English. So boom, I'm the enemy. And I'm like 6 years old, 7 years old. And then I'm even worse because I'm friends with someone from somewhere else. And she wasn't. She was fully Canadian. Her parents were from the Caribbean, but they had also come a long time before. And I was just like, wow, I had a 5 or 4 year old child who wasn't in school yet when I came home after choir with another black friend in the car. And I came to the babysitter's house, and this 4 year old came to the door and said, you didn't touch him, did you? And I was like, you're racist. And I just yelled. And then the babysitter took me aside. And then I went home and I was like, Mom, how come he's 4 years old? She's like, someone taught him that. And I was like, I can't be babysat by them anymore. I'm like, I was an activist when I was little. It's like, anyways, that's it's like a lot better now, but it's also not. Like there's so much stuff going on. Like they defunded the English CJEPs and stuff, and like there's lots going on. Anyways, so that's where I grew up. I was there till I was about 13, 14, and I begged my little church to baptize me, and they wouldn't let me. They thought because I was the daughter of a single mother, I needed more time. I needed to be a teenager for a while before being baptized. And I was like, that's garbage. This other kid just got baptized last week. So we moved. We moved to Southern Ontario, which is okay. So Quebec, think of like France, think of, they're fighting oppression. They're really connected to European mindset, like just
Welcome
okay.
back.
Hi. Okay, so Quebec, where I was anyway, like has a more European mindset. And then we moved to Southern Ontario, which is like around Toronto area, which is very British colony. Like this, everybody was about like that was their background. They all had names like Smith, and it was really segregated. Entire towns, cities of all one type of background, almost like whole areas with background instead of mixed, like in Quebec, and also the the vibe. It was all about self and about making lots of money and having a big house and being really successful. While Quebec was more community. So that was different. And we found a church. We went to a Baptist church, North American Baptist, which is in line. It comes from the Mennonite Brethren kind of thing with that stuff. So, anyways, it's not Southern Baptist. Okay, different kind of Baptist, and it was good. But there, I noticed the hypocrisy of the people. So they had angel young people, and here I was a young person, and then I would go to school with them, and they would throw me in lockers and get the whole school to call me Josie Grossi, and they weren't living it. And for me, I was always like actionable steps. What are we supposed to do? Because I saw that no one was doing anything. Everything was this ethereal, like not really something you can grasp thing. Oh, you're forgiven because you believe. And I was like, so what are we meant to do? And I was like, James says, for good works have been already pre-planned for us to do. Like we're going to do things. So what are the things? And we didn't talk about the Old Testament. Like it was good, but it was also a place of growing and learning. Anyways, I went to Niagara College for school and I met a Mennonite, like a real, he spoke German and English. And they went to a Mennonite church that had a gravel parking lot because there were horse and buggy for the morning service. And I was like, wait a second, what? Like we've been invaded by horse and buggy people and they don't teach us that. Like we had no idea. I had no idea. The third most spoken language in Manitoba and Saskatchewan is German. And it's all the German like people that have come in and like I'd say more than 80% are farming. They're all farming.
Oh,
So it's different levels, obviously.
where I am right now, I'm in I guess Western New York, and there's Amish people everywhere. You have to kind of slow down when you're driving on the freeway because there's horse and buggy going down. I think it's
Mhm.
so amazing, and these big
It's
beautiful
so cool.
that the women have, and I feel not like an alien with my head covered because if I'm in a coffee shop, there's other women with their head covered in various ways, but
Here too, but there's less horse and buggy, more in between. So women are wearing dresses and skirts like all the time. They might have a little black thing on the back of their head, but they're going to the mall and they have a cell phone. And there's also colonies where, yeah, they just kind of like they sew their own stuff and it's colorful. You know, there's a lot of that. And I'll talk about that after. But anyway, it was really cool. And his cousin was marrying somebody who was doing a program where you travel around Canada your first semester. You learn about homelessness, about like nonprofit organizations. You get to know each other, and then the second semester you go to either South Africa and learn about conflict resolution, or you go to Guatemala where you do houses with Habitat for Humanity and schools and stuff like that, where you build, and that has to do with oh, something else. Anyways, so I did the program. I was like, that's what I'll do. So I hurt myself in the first semester and I destroyed my knee. And then I came home to Southern Ontario and I was like, now I'm working at, some big company as like a receptionist or something with like a cast. And it was really tough. Like I was in a wheelchair for a month. But this university calls me from over here and says, hey, you can just come to school. You can just come here and take classes. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like applying for university in Ontario is like $100 to $300 per application. Because I looked at it because I'd gone to college. And then they were like, no, like that is our program. You're already in it. So you can just come. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go to Manitoba. I never thought Manitoba was really anything. I met one girl from there one time, and when I was like 6 or 7, and I thought it was like the highway, and then like a flashing red light, like T intersection with like two houses, an English and a French. This was my little child mind. And oh no, the French family left. Oh no, they're gonna put a gas station on the corner. The English family anyone to play with. So, anyways, I obviously that was a 6-year-old's mind, which is funny. Um, anyway, so yeah, I came and it was amazing. And I got to learn, I met some French people and went to a French church. And for the first time in like 20 years, 15, 20 years, started speaking French again. So that was fun. And then I met a guy and we got married really quickly. And I didn't know that he was clothed in wrath, um, which he was. And so after we got married, I realized that it wasn't normal. Like I was being put down and stuff all the time, and things got worse and worse over time. But I believed that I couldn't be separated or divorced, and that this was my life. And then after over 14 years, like I had children, and the oppression got worse and worse. Um, so much so that at the end, like one of my children almost passed away. I could have passed away. Like it was really bad. But it took like 14 years. It's kind of like a frog. You know, when you want to cook a frog, not that we eat frogs, but you would put it in room temperature water and then you slowly boil it over a long period of time and they never jump out because they don't realize they're dying. I knew it was bad when I went for counseling on an unrelated situation. And I mentioned that I was hopeful for when we were old and gray and he would die of natural causes and then I'd finally be free. And the counselor was like, that's not normal. Like, it's really not normal. And I was like, oh man. So, but in that time, even though all of my contacts had been cut off, all of my friends that I was no longer just allowed to talk to, like over time, he was like, don't finish your university, go work instead. So I didn't have a degree. Like even though there was all this happening, I still ended up doing some things sometimes for the Most High, which was amazing. Like a prayer for someone. I'm driving home from like a Bible study evening, and someone said, "Oh, my son's gone missing. He was at a rehab place in Thunder Bay, Ontario, which is at the top of Lake Superior, the Finger Lakes." And I was like, in my head, I was like, "Oh, I could just drive there. I'm 8 hours away. I could just drive there and find him. I have family there." But I had 2 children. I couldn't do that. And I had someone at home with them who didn't want them, like who hated them and didn't want to take care of them. So I couldn't leave them. And I was driving home and I got this huge impression on me, like, pray for him. And I was like, okay. So I pull into the back lane because we were in the city at the time. And I started praying and I was like goosebumps top to bottom. And I was like crying. And I'm like, what is happening? What is this? And, and it lasts like half an hour. And then it ends. And I was like, all right, I feel okay. And I go home. And then the next day this is like a Saturday. And then the next day is a Sunday. And we go to church. And I find out he was found. He was found right around the same time. And I was like, you're joking. This can't be possible. Like, ooh, I finally did something for the Most High. Another time, the lady showed up at my door instead of driving herself away and never coming back. And we were acquaintances and we from work before. And, here I was a stay-at-home mom with some kids and we happened to talk on Facebook. And I think I had given her my address as an option for her child for babysitting, because the lists were like years and years long and she was freaking out. And I was like, well, just, come over, here's my address. Well, that's not what happened. She came over because she was about to drive her stuff away. And I'm so thankful that she came because we went out. Number one, like he stayed with the kids. Whatever reason, he agreed because there was someone else there, which is amazing. And we went for a walk and I prayed with her and hugged her and like, she's alive. She is still alive. She went home and I'm just so thankful. But it's tricky because during that time of like oppression, I tried to go to church. I tried to read the Bible. I tried to do Bible studies or anything. And it was constantly like kiboshed and like everything was made extra hard for us to go. However, this was someone who had professed to be a believer and went to church and stuff. So it was really difficult. Anyways, okay, so on like February 24 or 25 of 2022, this individual punches my just 3-year-old, like he just turned 3, in the head 3 times at the dinner table, like hard. This is a 6'2" giant farmer looking guy, full punch in the head. And then took him out of the room to like a parent. And I was shaken. I was like, we're going to die. Like I knew I was going to die, probably at his hand, but now like someone else was going to die. And I didn't think I could call the police because he always plays the, I'm from here. I'm probably related to everybody you're related to. And like we go to church together. And he plays that game. Like outside the house, he was loved by people. Everybody liked him. And it was really difficult. So I didn't call the police. Instead, I prayed about it. And I called out to the Most High. I said, what do I do? Like before I thought, well, if I die, they'll be okay. Because, his mom will help or my mom will help or something. And then it was like, no, they might get hurt now. Like it's worse. And so then on the 26th was my birthday. I had to fight my way to go for coffee with friends. And normally I didn't ever get to do anything on my birthday. Like it was a, he made him feel bad or whatever. So just but I went. And at the end of the coffee, I finally told somebody, like I'd been trying for years to tell them what was happening, but they would always say, oh, we only speak kindly about our husbands. We only say edifying words and I was like, this is what's happening. And the girl I told it to was a social worker and she was like staying at home after that. So she knew the laws. She was like, that's against the law. That's against the law. That's against the law. She's like, I'm so glad you told me. I'm going to pray about this. And I was like, okay. And then I went home and then the next day I couldn't move. I was swollen top to bottom, like swollen. Like it was crazy. Everything was swollen and tingly. And I realized now it's my nervous system because I finally told somebody and I couldn't move. So he had to like make the kids breakfast and stuff and it was terrible. They hated it. And I got a phone call that day or a text from my friend saying, when you're ready, we have a plan. We have a safe place for you to go. And I was like, okay, but you need like an excuse to leave the house. So then I asked him, hey, last year I took the kids sledding for my birthday, like on a hill. It's $0. I want to take them again. And he made a big fuss and I was like, look, I can take them tomorrow. You can stay home. You don't have to come. You can play your video games. I'll just take them. And he was like, rah, and I was like, fine. And so the next day, and it was amazing. The next day, I connected her with a different friend, like my daughter's friend from school, their family, who had been meeting me at the park and talking with me for like a year about all this stuff, because I would get there and I would be like white, and they were like, how come you're not doing well? Why are you gonna faint? Like, you look so bad. And I was like, I didn't sleep last night. And I, I didn't realize how bad it was until like these people were like, it's bad. This is not normal. This isn't good. You can't be there. Anyway, so they connected, and then I had the plan, oh, we're gonna go to so and so's house to go sledding near there, and like sled with them. And so while everyone was napping, the two littles were playing video games with their dad. I packed the van. I got everything out of the laundry, the dryer. I got all their snowsuits. I got their blankets, their pillows, and like some books or stuffies, their stuffies, and the playpen. And I stuffed it in the minivan, and it was like stuffed. And I was like, if he comes up to say goodbye, he's going to see the minivan stuffed. So he's going to know something's up. And then when the kids woke up, I put on the snowsuits, and I called Audrey and like the older two, and they put snowsuits on. He never came upstairs to say goodbye. He never came up to say, have fun for your birthday, sledding, nothing. And so we got in the van and we went to my friend's house, and then we were at a women's shelter for 2 months. And that was like, I didn't orchestrate it. Someone else did. The Most High had us. He was like, I'm going to do it. Because until that point, I had looked at like finding an apartment or renting a little house or something, and I was always looked over because I didn't have an income. I had child tax benefits and I had a whole bunch of savings, or like I had access to savings. But that ended. No savings after this, because it was in his name. So yeah, that was interesting. Then started the court process, which is something else. And then finding out that the one who hated the children and hated you, no, he's fighting for the children and he wants the children because he doesn't want to pay child support. So, and in Canada, for those who are American, Canada, the Supreme Court ruled a couple of years ago that child support is like a human right or something. Like, it has to happen. There's no backing out of it. So there's no option now. Like, you can't even say, I don't want the child support. I'll take the child, no money. You can't say that anymore. And so now a lot of children are ending up in the hands of abusive or negligent fathers because they look good on paper. They have a job, they have a house, or they marry someone real quick after who is a good, upstanding woman. But as a single parent with kids, you're not attractive. People don't typically want that. So they don't even talk to you. Anyways, that was crazy. And then he brought me on, like, I'm talking about the Most High now. He brought me on like a crash course. It was in the Word all the time, relying on him for everything. Like we didn't even have mattresses. Like, we were just on the floor when they made us leave after 2 months. I was at my mom's on the floor, and then by his will, we ended up renting together. And by renting together, we could rent something that made more sense. Here I was a homeowner. I had like bought and renovated a rental property myself because the man I was with wouldn't help. And like I was starting to do something, that all had to get sold. All that's gone. Here we are, rock bottom, nothing. Nothing I do has anything to do with how we are taken care of. There can't be any pride because I literally, it's not possible. It's all from him, which is amazing. And I really never want to be prideful from anything that happens because it's all him all the time. So anyways, we're there during that time. And I guess I virtually read the entire Bible. I learned so much about the Torah. I go on Zoom Bible studies on the Sabbath, on Shabbat, instead of on Sundays. And it's amazing. For instance, he then started having me be obedient. So I think one of the first things we did was keep Sabbath. So we started keeping the Sabbath, and it was great. And then, and that was wonderful. Then we started, he showed me the food. And my son, who was the most harmed by his dad, the one who got punched, he had asthma as of 3 months old, and he was hospitalized every 6 months from that time. He's had ridiculous amounts of this stuff they give called dexamethasone, which is really bad. It's like 19 doses over the years. And it's, causes type 2 diabetes and bone, weak bones and stunted growth. So I was like, Okay, we'll cut out pork, shellfish, whatever else that we can find. The pork was the main one because it was like pepperoni on a pizza or, lunch meat for the sandwiches. And the kids were so into it because we had already stopped kind of doing Christmas the year before that I had been wanting to do for like 20 years. So they were happy with just having like a day, but not that day. And so we did it. We did it. We did it the week that I ran out of food. So Jenny, let me tell you, okay, I ran out of money and I ran out of food. So on like the Friday, I had to send, no, the Thursday, I had to send the kids to school with their lunches with a Ziploc bag of popped popcorn. That's it. That's all I had. I didn't have any snacks. I didn't have any bread. I didn't have any meats. I didn't have any fruits, no vegetables, nothing. That was their lunch. And that same day, a lady that came once a week from a free government program to help was brought me a pork sausage, like this big, massive pork sausage. It was ridiculous. I'd never seen anything like that. And she was halal. And she said she got it because it had a red stripe on it, not knowing it was pork. And I was like, I just cut out pork. Can't have pork. And I was like, okay, I'll just stick it up in my fridge and I won't show the kids. So I did that. So again, Friday, it's again popcorn for lunch. And I just doubled up. I did a bit more popcorn. And that was our last like popcorn package. At that point, we didn't have another popcorn package we could make in the microwave. And so they go to school, and I look at the bank and I find out we got a surprise payment from the government, some rebate, $220. I was like, I can do groceries. So I go to the grocery store with the kids after school. We meet my daughter's friends, family. The husband says he's going carnivore. And I was like, I have meat for you. I have a giant pork sausage for you. The same time, the beef steaks were on sale, the chicken was on sale, the lamb was on sale. I was like, okay, we're just gonna get all this stuff. It was amazing. I go home, I find out I actually had more pork in the freezer than I thought. Like there was more things. I also had like shortening. So I just put all of the stuff that was like pork related. I think I had marshmallows too. Put everything in a bag and I dropped it off at their house and it was amazing. And the next day I told my Zoom Bible study about the provision. When you obey the Most High, when you obey His commands, He provides for you. So even if the obedience is difficult, like quitting a job because they make you work on the Sabbath, or because the environment is filthy or something, or maybe you have to start, living in a different place, like hard things. Like for us was cutting out the food. Some of it had been given to us for free, and we had to not eat it, and then He provided. So then within the next couple of days, a whole bunch of people from that Zoom start telling me electronically that the Most High has put an amount on their heart to give me. And I was like, okay, He's teaching me how to receive gifts because it's really difficult. Someone from Quebec. We normally give. We just give, and we don't ask for anything back. You know what I'm talking about. So I've slowly over time with the whole starting from nothing, I've been like, okay, I will, because then you'll get the gift of giving. They'll be blessed for giving. Well, I was given so much I could pay back the last 2 months of the bills that had, like, the only thing I was able to pay for those 2 months was rent. Everything else was behind, like car insurance, phone, internet, heat, water, power, all of that got paid the 2 months. It was amazing. And then the next weekend, two people from that Zoom showed up at my house from Saskatchewan. They drove 7.5 hours to bring me restaurant size cans of like tomato sauce and massive bags of noodles. I'd never seen so big, huge thing of oats and wheat grains and like loads of food. And then it was amazing. And like a friendship. They were like, we'd like to have community with you. You're by yourself. That was amazing. So the Most High has been unbelievable. When we cut out all the holidays, including Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, Christmas, Easter in the sense of the world, and Halloween, we did it officially on Halloween. The kids stayed home because all their schools had Halloween parties. And where we lived was full of people from other countries where they go nuts for the North American holidays. It's crazy. So there's like decorations everywhere, and they don't even speak English, and they're going crazy for it. So anyways, kept them home. We watched movies that weren't related to that, and we had like a dance party, and we had some goodies. The next day I get a call from my lawyer at the time, and she says, I have a paper for you, come in. I go in the next day, It's that an early divorce was signed on Halloween. So I was officially divorced as of November 1st. It was only a year and a half after escaping, which is unheard of in Canada or North America generally. Like that would be that fast after like 14 years of marriage and protection orders and all this other stuff. And he had requested an early one because he met someone within the year. And that's just when it was signed. Like I agreed to it many, many months before, but I didn't know if it would. She was like, it could take still like 2, 3, 4, 5 years for it to come in. But, at least like we're saying, okay. Yeah, right then. It was amazing. He was like slowly breaking the chains that were binding us to this man, which was amazing. And then around that same time, I forgave him, which was massive. What really helped me was reading it in the ISR, the Institute for Scripture Research Bible, which I then got because of the Torah group on Sabbath. And it says, forgive my debts as I forgive my debtors in the Lord's Prayer, the Most High's Prayer. And so I was like, it's a debt. He doesn't owe me anything. I don't want anything from him. I need to release the debt. And that was amazing. I released the debt. So since then, however, I've had to do that over and over and over again as more attacks come from them. But just in April, for instance, the Most High moved us. My mom and I were in a situation where neither of us would have been able to afford our rents. We were no longer living together that month. And I had gotten a great new job in this place where I live now that was paying actually quite a bit more than I expected. And so I was able, and the Most High showed me a place for rent that was like ideal. I didn't even think it was possible. And I applied. I was like, would you consider a single mom working with an aging mother who lives with us, who also helps to pay rent, and 4 children and a little dog? Because everywhere else was no. It was yes, but the place is falling apart, and then my mom wouldn't be able because there's too many stairs or stuff like that. Or you just can't bring the dog. And I'm like, I can't not bring the little dog that helps my mom. Like, or like too many kids. I'm like, well, like they're my children. I'm not gonna not live with them. So I applied, and they were like, yes, yes, and it comes with a dog outside as long as you're okay with that. And I was like, we'd love another one. That's great. And so he moved us. It was amazing. The extra money from the job fully paid for moving from 2 places, and the like pet deposits. So it was like 2 months rent at the beginning, and like everything. And then it turns out now that where we live now is like $50 cheaper than my rent was at the old place. So it's like the old place has gone up now. So it's amazing. The kids are in great schools. We have land, we have space, and that's amazing. Yeah. Now, okay, talking like spiritually, let's say, starting in, I want to say, for a long time, I've been trying to fast or trying to figure out how to fast because I didn't want to, it was daunting. And I found just, someone on YouTube sharing little like 10-minute videos every couple of days and like how to fast and stuff, or, like this is what, and it's interesting. I'm just going to say it. She hears from the Most High, which is so cool because he's pouring out a spirit on people, but she's not saying anything that goes against the word, which is great. And it's nothing like, oh, this city, this thing's going to explode, like nothing like that. It's very, very nice. And so I started listening and trying, and I started fasting. And so now I fast 3 days once a month. And then I fast, so I do a 1-day fast now and again in between. And I've now, as of like, I think out of this week, I will have read the entire Bible for real, like actually read the whole thing, every single book. And I've also reread Genesis and Revelation and Psalms and Proverbs like twice. And a bunch of other ones that are really important have been read multiple times now. And I'm starting to hear because in December, January last year, I started waking up to worship music every morning, different songs. Anytime I sleep, when I wake up, I hear a song. It's amazing. I can't tell you how amazing. I didn't think that was the Holy Spirit. I was just like, oh wow, I must be like really in the mood to praise my Father, And then I was talking to someone last week who is on a similar path and was like, yeah, that's the Holy Spirit. That's fully the Holy Spirit. He's the teacher of righteousness. He said when he finished reading the Bible front to back, like the end of it, as soon as he was done, he started hearing Bible verses. And sometimes he hears it for someone and he knows who that verse is for. And he was like, oh, I wish I could hear. Like some people fully hear and they can have a conversation with the Father. And then he realized then that no, he is hearing. And he told me, he's like, you're fully hearing because you're like doing stuff. Because since moving here, so that happened. Okay, since moving here, since this great new job, I've been talking about him, the Most High, Holy Spirit, the Son, every day, about like my testimony every day, about he took us out of captivity and he brought us here and he's real. He is real. The Holy Spirit is real. So many believers are dead. They're asleep. They're fully asleep. And it's like I want to shake them and wake them up because his provision for us has been like, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. And there's like when I was at that job, I was there for 2 months. I was starting to get prideful near the end because I was starting to look at like, oh, what could we do with this extra money now? Maybe we can get like lawn chairs or something. Like I was, and it ended, and that's fine. It was. I feel like it's fully his plan that I was done praying for all the people that are there. I have all their names. I talked to them for the full 2 months, and then I have a different job, and then I had to pray for all of them, and then talk to them for a full 2 months, and like maybe there'll be seeds then that can get watered before it's too late because time is short, and I know that now from this crash course I've been on, which has been amazing. Um, yeah, so I'm out there talking to people all the time. It's crazy. I'm meeting people, being blessed. Someone brought me a cord of wood for free the other day, for free, a whole cord of wood. It was like the blessings are they supersede like they're just above and beyond like whatever difficulty I'm going through with the court and with my children's dad and that situation. Like we're not even supposed to care about this world. We're not. This stuff is piddly stuff. So I'm constantly forgiving and letting it go and trying to be released from the negative things that limit our joy and our hope while we're here, because those are the gifts he gives, right? Because he did that. Like when I was let go for that first job because they overhired, they let go 3 salary people and they hired some high schoolers. And I was filled with peace that surpasses understanding. I had never experienced that before. Like I'm pretty chill, but the peace and then the hope and the joy, like I couldn't stop smiling for like 4 days. And my mom, full peace. She's a stressor. She stresses about things she gets. She was completely at peace, which was completely surprising. And then also the hope and the joy that just like exploded. It was amazing. And I was like, this is wild. It's like I'm living in a movie. But now I know, like, we have a job. This is the other thing. We have a job. We're supposed to go and gather the harvest because it is bountiful, but the laborers are few. That is, everyone I'm talking to knows God. They know Jesus, but they just live their life and they're able to sustain themselves. And, maybe they're a little bit prosperous and everything is easy. They're fully asleep. I went to a church 2 weeks ago. Okay. I think the Most High brought me there for this. So I prayed on the way there that no lies could be spoken and that like mouths would be stuck, that no lies could be spoken. There's 40 churches in this town. There's a lot of people here who think they know him. I went there, and while a missionary was sharing how the Holy Spirit speaks to her, he shows her visions and she teaches those to the children. And then one child healed another child, and she was like, oh my gosh, like he prayed a 2-second word prayer and the other kid was fully healed. So she's freaking out. The kids are like, it's Tuesday, no big deal. The fire alarm was pulled right after that. And we all walk outside, and the background is their Mennonite background. So they're all very relaxed and they are they're pacifists, right? So they're just like, and I was walking with the repairman who had invited me. And I was like, that was spiritual warfare, right? And he was like, well, it's just a kid who pulled the fire alarm. I was like, this is wake up. I was like, she was talking about how the Holy Spirit indwells within us, right? Because we believe that Yeshua is in the Father and the Father is in him, and we believe for him his works, therefore greater than these things we shall do, so that the Father will be esteemed in the Son. And whatever we ask in his name shall be done. She's living that because then that means if more than that is what we'll do, we will be anointed to bring the good news to the poor, to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim the release of the captives, to give sight to the blind, to send away the crushed ones with release, and to proclaim the acceptable year of the Almighty in the mighty name, power, and authority of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus, the Christ of Nazareth. I said that to this man. His gears were like, and he was just like awkwardly smiling, and I was like, wake up. Oh my gosh. And we go back in, they say nothing. They were like, okay, the Sunday school's ready for the kids. Next up, like this other. I was like, this is okay. I've never experienced this kind of spiritual warfare, like actually happening, but it's amazing. And so, yeah, I think that I have a job to do here, and we have a lot of work because everyone's asleep. So I've been praying that the dry bones would come to life, right? Wake up, arise, you who dwell in the dust, for you do as the dew of light. Like, arise, wake, and sing, you who dwell in dust. So Messiah will shine upon you. Like they're asleep. Anyways, and I know time is short. So I'm like preparing, but I've been praying that this place would have a miraculously safe haven. Even the plants and animals would praise his holy name. And I've been praying that he would prepare our safe haven, you know. And what's happening is that, like, the Most High, not me, is preparing this home. Free wood, we're getting a new septic pump, someone gave us a, what's that called? Instapot. Like, people are just, here, have this, whole bunch of veggies. I have to learn how to can. I have a pot now for canning. I don't know how to do that because I'm from Quebec and like I lived in the city. Like, I didn't live in the country. But he's definitely doing something, and I'm here for the ride. Like, this is amazing. It's amazing. So this is a short, as fast as I could do it, storyline.
I feel like I just had 6 cups of coffee listening to you tell that story. I'm super energized. Thank you so much, Josiane. That's like what a super inspiring. Yeah, that was fast. That was record. I don't even know how long we've been talking, but you just covered so much in a very short period of time. And I think that was the way it was supposed to be. We just got this big,
Yeah,
not even a taste. We just like had a full meal of your life and your experience.
great.
And hallelujah. What a beautiful, amazing, amazing I'm speechless. I'm gonna go back and watch it as I always do, and I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it again. And yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That
I just want, can I say one last thing?
Yeah.
Listen, 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 listen for the Holy Spirit. You have to worship every day, read the word every day, and pray every day. This is you cannot stop. This is absolutely 100% every single day. And the Most High will start to use you as a willing vessel. For anyone watching out there, I even randomly got this, not random, but he totally gave me a word for a pastor I had never met. And I went and gave it to him. And that pastor now is spending more intentional time with the Most High rather than looking at all his translations and like getting all wisdomy, which is foolishness to the Most High, right? And in that message, it said, "You have not yet resisted unto blood, and good works I have predestined for you." And I believe that that is for everybody. That stuff is coming. It's going to get hard. We think, oh, it's hard now. Groceries are high. It's going to get hard. And we have to be worshiping, praying, and reading every day.
And we
If you
do,
can
as
do a
you
fast, that's
said,
great.
the whole part about being able to hear and whatever, whether it's audible for some or not, some people hear in a different way, but we need to be able to
For
recognize
me, it's like,
voice in order to
yeah,
be able to know what we're supposed to do. Because
yeah, absolutely.
artificial intelligence, all the stuff that's coming at us, deep fakes, like all of this stuff, it's going to get less and less obvious the difference between truth and fiction. And the only thing we'll be able to
Yeah.
hang on is his word.
100%. You have to know it. And you need to know, like, you need to know the words of the Messiah, because the false Messiah will come and he will speak almost just like Messiah. And if you don't know the real words, you could get deceived. And so we have to know them. We have to know them. And for me, hearing, it's used to be, and it still is now, when I read the word, I'll read like I read whole chapters, whole books sometimes in a day because they're not very big sometimes. And it'll be specific passages or phrases will pop out at me. They'll seem to be more meaningful. So then I'll pause and I'll look at it again and I might write it down. That's how it is for me. The music only started in the wintertime, which is so cool. But it's for me, it's more like a knowing. It's not hearing, it's not seeing, it's a knowing. And that's kind of cool, right? So you don't feel like you're not doing enough if you don't hear words in your mind, or if you're not having dreams and visions, because it comes in many different ways. Many different ways. Be encouraged. You know, this is a rescue mission. We're supposed to be out here rescuing people. And it's like, let's go, right? It's a battle. I'm just so pumped about it, I have to say. Okay,
You are.
that's it.
Thank you, Josiane. I hope and I have a feeling that everybody who watches this is going to come away feeling inspired by your energy and by the flowing of the Ruach that is clearly present.
That's all it is. It's not me. I'm just a vessel.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not shying away from it. Thank you. Thank you so much. I can't believe we even had this moment together to share. Thank you. And I wish you a
You're welcome.
great rest of your day. Shabbat shalom and have a great Sabbath tomorrow.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.